Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another episode of News Dose, where I keep you up to date with all of the latest gaming news. And I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and if you're into Black Friday shopping, I hope you've enjoyed that as well. I always prefer online shopping myself, but kudos to you if you are brave enough to fight off the crowds. With that said, there is a few game-related topics to talk about today. Capcom is teasing a couple new unannounced titles to be at Jump Festa 2020, and I think one may be announced at the Video Game Awards show, and it's a big one. So we will speculate on that here in just a moment. And also, a new game just got announced, which is a sequel to one of the best story-driven games I have ever played. And then we had a few acquisitions on top of that. So surprisingly, this week has had a little bit more news than I was expecting. But let's first talk about Capcom because, let's be honest, Capcom is back. They have been pumping out great games the last few years, including Resident Evil 2, Devil May Cry 5, and Monster Hunter Worlds, but here we're getting a tease about a couple of unannounced games that will be revealed here soon. And one of these games, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say it will be Resident Evil 3 Remake. Now, this has been in the rumor mill for the last few weeks now, and how Capcom is working on Resident Evil 3, and that shouldn't really be too surprising, to be completely honest. I mean, they already did Resident Evil 1 and 2, and especially with the second, it turned out to be a huge success, and it's actually up for Game of the Year. It's just an excellent game all around, so I think it was inevitable to make the third one as well, though I will say if it does get revealed, which I assume would be at the Video Game Awards show, then that was much quicker than I was thinking. I mean, Resident Evil 2 Remake just came out earlier this year, so if they are already able to show it, maybe it'll just be a teaser or something like that that just kind of shows that they're working on it, or could they possibly do a complete unveiling with gameplay? That would be really cool, though I will have to question how long it would be before release. Maybe it would be an Xbox Scarlet and a PlayStation 5 game, maybe close to their launch or a little bit afterwards. Of course, I'm just speculating right now, but I wouldn't really be too surprised to see Resident Evil 3 get announced at the Video Game Awards show. Or it could be something completely different. It could be something Street Fighter related, or it could be another reboot or remaster of an older franchise. We know that Capcom is looking to bring back some of their older games, so could they possibly reveal one of those? And they have a plethora of different IP that they could work on, ranging from Dino Crisis, Darkstalkers, and even Breath of Fire. Regardless, I think this is something to be excited for, and I keep saying this, but it's more reason to tune in for the Video Game Awards show, because whatever this unannounced game is, it could be announced there. So no matter how you feel about the nominations themselves, which has been filled with controversy to say the very least, the announcement side of things is turning out to be stellar so far. What do you think though? What game could they possibly announce, or what do you hope it could be? In other news, we got another announcement, and this one is really exciting because To the Moon 3 has been announced, and I would personally say this is one of the best stories I've seen in not just video games, but I'm going to include all mediums here. It really is that good. But on the other side of things, it doesn't really have a lot in terms of gameplay. Still, it's such a good story that I would recommend it to almost anybody. Just prepare yourself for some tears because it's such an emotional ride. And I've actually seen some confusion around this announcement though, because a lot of people wasn't really aware there was a To the Moon 2, which is understandable because it doesn't go by the name of To the Moon 2, but rather the title is Finding Paradise. It's also a great game, but yeah, I never liked when creators decided to go another route with their names. Just put a 2 behind it and don't overthink it. But it does seem the developer this time around understands that and just called it To the Moon 3. If you haven't heard of To the Moon before though, definitely go check it out. It's not a very long game and you won't regret it. Now we also had a few acquisitions. It really does seem like the game industry is consolidating by this point, but here we have Facebook, who acquired Beat Games, which is the developer behind arguably the best virtual reality game, Beat Saber. I absolutely love this game myself, but of course Facebook owns Oculus, which is the most well-known PC VR headset right now. But it seems like Oculus means business. We have seen them really push PC VR within the last year. They released Oculus Quest and had games like Stormland and Asgard's Wrath release exclusively on their platform. I wouldn't be surprised if they scoop up a few more virtual reality developers as the VR space becomes more and more competitive. Which brings me over to my next topic, because as we've seen within the last week, there was a lot of buzz surrounding Half-Life Alyx. I mean, this is a franchise that hasn't seen a new installment for a decade, and people have been clamoring for another installment for what seems like forever. Well, people were ecstatic when Half-Life Alyx was announced, but here's the surprising part. Because Valve's virtual reality headset, the Index, sold out in the United States and Canada. That is absolutely shocking to me. I knew that Half-Life Alyx was going to increase virtual reality sales, but the Index is $1,000, so I kind of figured people would just buy the Oculus Rift S or the Quest, which are both $400, and they can play Half-Life Alyx as well. Granted, we don't really know how many Valve's Indexes they even have in stock. I mean, it could have been very few, but either way, this is great news for Valve, and I hope they see the importance in some of their big IP. We really shouldn't have had to wait this long for a new Half-Life game. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is this other acquisition, and that is Codemasters, who acquired Slightly Mad Studios, the developers behind Project Cars. Project Cars, of course, is one of the best racing simulator games on the market. Codemasters is known for their racing games such as Dirt and Grid, so I think Project Cars will fit nicely with Codemasters, but I think the big question here is about Madbox, because if you remember, Slightly Mad Studios was looking to build a new console to compete with Xbox and PlayStation. So with Codemasters acquiring Slightly Mad Studios, will Madbox just kind of disappear, or will Codemasters help with that? I don't know, but I personally never really saw a reason for another home console anyways, and I can't imagine they would be able to compete, but it was always an interesting storyline. Anyways though, that is it for the episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to hit that bell notification and subscribe button. Peace out.